Number 1.
Members of the U.S. Armed Services put their lives in danger abroad every day. But when they come home, they should be safe from harm. Unfortunately, that wasn't the case for Marine Corps combat veteran Wade Taylor. After serving 4 years in the Marines, including in Afghanistan, Wade was honorably discharged in 2004 and returned home to Alamogordo, New Mexico. After coming home, Wade was a little lost, according to his sister, Crystal Taylor. And then came the spring, when Wade disappeared. He was last seen in the very early morning hours of May 6 by jail personnel at the Otero County Detention Center in Alamogordo. Authorities confirmed to Dateline that Wade was not being held in the jail at the time, but had come of his own accord for unknown reasons. He was asking for help and water. And he said someone was jazzing him. Crystal, an Air Force veteran, told Dateline. They turned him away. They did not assist him. The detention center provided the Taylor family with a video, which Dateline has not seen, in which Crystal says you can see Wade standing at the door asking for help. Jail personnel have allegedly since told Crystal that Wade was completely coherent. But authorities say he arrived at the jail in just his underwear, was injured and appeared to be under the influence of alcohol. We don't know the extent of the injuries, we just know he was injured, Lieutenant David Kunihiro with the Alamogordo Police Department told Dateline. There's more details that we have, but obviously we can't release them, because it is an ongoing investigation. Despite Wade last being seen in the early morning hours of May 6, his sister Crystal said their family was only notified of his disappearance days later, after not being able to contact him for days. We didn't find out about the incident until we reported him missing on May 9, Crystal told Dateline. When my mom went to report him missing, the officer taking the report said there was a situation, and we had to make a public information request to be able to get information about it. Even the information they have been able to get is limited, she says. We don't know what's going on right now, but he's missing, Crystal said. We're not getting any answers or making any progress. Authorities told Dateline that Wade walked away from the jail alone, but they don't believe he simply got lost. He was originally reported as a missing person, so it's still a missing persons investigation, Lieutenant Kunihiro said. But we do believe there is foul play, so we're not ruling out criminal activity. Lieutenant Kunihiro also said there are people of interest, but their names have not yet been released to the public. We have spent numerous man-hours searching all over Otero County, following leads and looking for activity, Lieutenant Kunihiro told Dateline. We have not been able to locate him. I won't comment on credit card activity. Whatever mental or physical state Wade is in, Crystal says her family just wants him home. He's very much loved, and very much missed. We're kind of lost without him, Crystal told Dateline. Every day we wake up with hope, and go to bed with disappointment. Wade Taylor is described as being 5'11" tall, weighing 260 pounds with dark brown hair and green hazel eyes. He has a tattoo on his left arm of the Marine Corps emblem, as well as a tattoo of a dragon on his right arm and one of a reaper on his forearm. Anyone who may have seen Wade that early morning, or with information regarding Wade's whereabouts, is asked to call the Alamogordo Police Department at 575-439-4300.
Number 2.
It was the morning of Norine Brown's 32nd birthday, when her close friend Elaine Commando got the call. Norine's husband called me at 8 o'clock in the morning, said that Norine went to the food store last night to buy stuff to make Christmas cookies at around 11 p.m., Elaine said. But he said they did have a little fight before that, so he was wondering if she had stayed at my house, because she never came home. Elaine says she told John Brown that Norine wasn't at her house. It was December 13, 1990, and they all lived near each other in New Hyde Park, a small town on New York's Long Island. Elaine said she was a little nervous when she got the call, as it wasn't normal for Norine to go off the map. I said to him, "Is there anything I can do?" And he said, "Can you go to Pathmark and see if her car is there?" Elaine told Dateline. At that point, I thought maybe she had stayed at another friend's house. I wasn't too concerned. Until I went to Pathmark and found her car there. Suddenly, Elaine said she grew very nervous. She called John from the store's telephone, and he soon joined her in the parking lot. John called the police. The police came down to the parking lot, and they said they wouldn't be able to report a missing person until 24 hours, Elaine said. The car was locked. There were wrapped Christmas presents in the back of the car. And that's where it all started. Elaine said police eventually took down a missing persons report, and an investigation began into the missing mother of two. Norine's childhood friend Maria Prabilski was living on Cape Cod at the time, but got the call from a mutual friend that day. We were hoping she'd been found, or, God forbid, she had been killed, she would be found quickly. But she vanished without a trace, Maria told Dateline, adding that friends immediately began putting up flyers around Long Island. Within the first week or so, we went on a search on Long Island. John was a fireman, so the firehouse joined the search, Elaine said. There were family, friends, and police dogs. Friends even visited a psychic, who told them Norine's body was in a park in the Bronx. So Elaine and a group of friends went to search the park. But they found nothing. That was really the only search we went on. We really didn't know what to do, she added. Within a couple of weeks we knew she'd been murdered, because we knew she would never leave her children, Norine's friend Maria told Dateline. Her mom was devastated, and her family was devastated. Dateline was unable to reach John Brown for comment on this report, but local Long Island media spoke with him at his house in January. I think she was murdered, John told News 12 Long Island. That's what I think, and we just haven't ever found her. There was a report that a lady seen an argument there. News 12 reports that authorities have neither been able to verify nor rule out the report of an argument at the store the night Norine disappeared. According to News 12, police also say John did not grant permission to search any of the family properties, and there was insufficient probable cause to obtain a search warrant. No persons of interest or suspects have ever been named in Norine's case. For decades, Norine's case sat cold. Then, at her and Maria's 40th high school reunion in June of 2017, Norine's old classmates banded together to search for justice. There was a reunion, when we all got together, and everyone wondered about Norine. We said we had to reopen the case, Maria said. Even if we don't find out what happened to her, just to find her, and put her to rest and bring her home, that is what we want for her. Maria called Elaine after the reunion with the news. The two have been working with the Nassau Police Department to help keep Norine's case active, Maria said. Nearly 30 years later, they have never forgotten about their friend. She's actually my daughter's godmother. We were very close, Elaine told Dateline. She was a terrific mother. Her kids were her whole life. There's no way she would have just left. Norine Brown would be 60 years old today. For updated information on Norine's case, you can visit the Find Norine Facebook page. If you have any information on the circumstances regarding Norine's case, please call the Nassau County Police Department at 516-573-8800.
Number 3.
Audrey May Herron's eldest daughter said it is sometimes hard to believe, so much time has passed since her mother disappeared 19 years ago. I've gone through the majority of my life without my mom, Sancha Court said Wednesday. It's hard to believe. Court was 10 years old when her mother vanished on August 29, 2002. Court now is a senior in college, studying to be a registered nurse. Herron also worked as a nurse, and Court said she used to accompany her mother to work sometimes. She said she saw how people loved her mother, and how her mother took such good care of her patients. Court said her mother also loved to go shopping, and had Madonna and Shania Twain CDs with which the two would sing along. She said the songs always remind her of her mother. Herron last was seen leaving work at the end of her shift at the former Greene County Long-Term Health Care Center in the Jefferson Heights section of Catskill. She was 31 at the time, lived in the Greenville hamlet of Freehold with her family, and worked as a licensed practical nurse. Herron that day was driving a black 1994 Jeep Grand Cherokee with New York license plates X233UV, which also has not been found. Police said she left work, as usual, but never arrived home to her husband, Jeff Herron, and her 3 children, Court, Katie Herron and Quinn Herron. Court said her sister recently turned 16, while her brother is going into 9th grade. He will turn 14 in October. Immediately after Herron's disappearance, police and volunteers conducted ground searches by retracing her possible routes home. They covered about 120 miles of roads and trails. State Police Senior Investigator Peter Kosminski said Herron's case is still definitely active. We still take leads, Kosminski said Thursday. We still take calls. He said there have been no solid leads recently, but police still pursue tips they receive. Also, Kosminski said, when police aviation and dive teams do their trainings, they search areas with Herron in mind. In the past, family and friends have held annual motorcycle run events to bring attention to Herron and other missing people. Court said there was no event planned for this year, but she hoped her uncle and aunt would be able to do something next year, if her mother is still missing. Herron was described at the time of her disappearance as white, 5 feet tall and 105 pounds with hazel eyes and light brown hair. She last was seen wearing green medical scrubs and a blue turtleneck top. Anyone with information about her disappearance is asked to call state police at 518-622-8600.
Number 4.
Ida Mayer of Dix Hills, New York, says her husband of 18 years, 46-year-old Robert Mayer, has not been seen since June. His vehicle has since been located, but to date he has not been found, and the circumstances of his disappearance remain a mystery. I just don't know what to do to find him. It gets harder every day. Our kids went back to school Monday, and it's been very difficult for them. Their dad is always a part of everything. We're so worried about him, Ida Mayer told us. Mayer last saw her husband when he left for work on the morning of June 14, in his red 2004 Pontiac GTO. A certified electrician, Robert Mayer was working at a newly built theater in Fort Greene, Brooklyn. Ida Mayer said she had a phone conversation with her husband at about 9 a.m. that day, and they discussed plans they had for the upcoming Father's Day weekend with their 2 kids, ages 11 and 15. That conversation was the last time she spoke with her husband. When Robert Mayer failed to return home, his wife reported him missing to police. The following night, searchers found his GTO abandoned in the parking lot of the Long Island Railroad's Deer Park station. The keys were not inside the vehicle, and according to Mayer's wife, the driver's seat was adjusted much farther forward than her husband typically kept it. The police searched with dogs, she said. Unfortunately, there are no surveillance cameras at the station, so they searched along the train tracks and the edge of property, but nothing was found. Authorities later discovered Robert Mayer had stopped at the Arrow scrap yard in West Babylon on the day of his disappearance, to cash and scrap metal. Video cameras at the business show he stopped there at about 2:15 p.m. In the scrapyard surveillance photo, he looks like something is wrong. His looks worried, and the look on his face haunts me, Ida Mayer said. Roughly 1 week after Robert Mayer disappeared, one of his neighbors discovered the missing man's car had been captured by his security camera on the afternoon of his disappearance. The video does not show the inside of the vehicle, but it does show the car pulling into the Mayer's driveway at about 2:40 p.m. The vehicle leaves approximately 10 minutes later. Mayer's wife is captured arriving in her vehicle at about 3 p.m. The neighbor's video footage prompted Mayer's wife to search their home for clues. In a drawer, she found his cell phone, wallet, and about $300 cash. All of the items had been with Mayer on the day of his disappearance, suggesting here whoever had been driving his vehicle had placed them in the drawer. However, the fact that the items were found in the drawer is not particularly unusual, as his wife said it would not be abnormal for him to place those items there at the end of a work week. I just know something's wrong, Ida Mayer said. He didn't just pick up and go. If that was the plan, then why come home? What would the reason have been? I usually would have been home at that time. I just happened to be at my mom's. Nothing is missing. Everything is here. He just had the clothes that were on his back. He has sleep apnea, and even his breathing machine is still up by the bed. A Suffolk County Police Department spokesman told the Long Island Press that authorities have no indication of foul play in Robert Mayer's disappearance. Until they have concrete evidence suggesting otherwise, they will continue to treat it as a missing person case, the press reported. I can speculate until the cows come home, but I know he had a really nervous energy about him in the days before he disappeared, she said. The kids were studying for finals at the time, so all my focus was on them. Ida Mayer added, he would never leave on his own. His home was his castle. He built it. He was a big part of his kids' life. It would not be normal behavior for him. He was a member of Local Union 3, the International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers, for almost 25 years. He's got a benefits and a pension. You don't work your whole life for these things and then walk away from them. Robert Mayer is described as a 6'1" white male, weighing about 200 pounds. He has brown hair and green hazel eyes. He was last seen wearing a gray polo-type work shirt with a JC Electrical logo, light blue jeans and black work boots. His left middle finger is missing the tip. We're so desperate to find him, Ida Mayer said. I miss him, his kids miss him, and we just want him back. Anyone with information is asked to contact the Suffolk County Police 2nd Squad detectives at 631-854-8252. Mayer's family is offering a $10,000 reward for information that leads to his discovery.
Number 5.
Jose Vicente Ortiz was last heard from on March 24, 2020, when he posted to social media. He last emailed family members in California in mid-March. Jose had been living in Queens for 8 years and was last known to be living on 53rd Street in Woodside, Queens. The New York Police Department is investigating. Jose Vicente Ortiz, 37, whose last known address was at 4120 53rd Street, has not been in contact with his family since the middle of March, when he checked in on his aunt and uncle who live in California, according to friend Azucena Racilla. He emailed them to ask how they were coping with regard to the COVID-19 pandemic, she said. Ortiz's last Facebook post was on March 24 and, since then he has not responded to Facebook messages, and his phone is also switched off, she said. Ortiz, who is originally from the Bay Area in California, moved to Queens about 8 years ago, where he worked in the restaurant industry, Racilla said. The family has learned that he no longer lives on 53rd Street, but have been told that he was still living in the neighborhood. Racilla believes Ortiz was living in the Sunnyside Woodside area and was working in Midtown Manhattan. In early March he discussed with a friend about the possibility of moving to Florida, she said. The vague details about his life were not out of the ordinary, and his family always believed he was fine, his cousin Saida Garcia told us. Ortiz posted to Facebook regularly, and when his post stopped around 2 weeks ago, the family became concerned about his well-being, Garcia said. The family became even more concerned as the spread of COVID-19 worsened in New York City and in Queens, Garcia said. The family reached out to hospitals and homeless shelters in the city, but have not been able to locate him, he said. Ortiz is described as being 5 feet and 8 inches tall with a slim build. He has dark shaved hair and a long beard. He typically wears jeans, a basic t-shirt, work boots, and an oversized puff coat, according to Racilla. Anyone with information about Jose's disappearance is asked to call the NYPD's Crime Stoppers hotline at 1-800-577-TIPS, 8477, or, for Spanish, 1-888-57-PISTA, 74782.
Number 6.
In September of 2018, culinary school graduate Kassandra Ramirez was living with a cousin in the Bronx borough of New York City, according to her mother Ingrid Santana. Ingrid, who was living in Wyoming at the time, told Dateline she came to town to visit her daughter in New York. I saw Kassandra on Monday, September 17, Ingrid told Dateline. Ingrid said that Kassandra, 25, spent that day with her younger sister, Rihanna. They got their nails done and their hair done. And Kassandra took Rihanna to a restaurant where she taught her how to use chopsticks. When they came home that evening, she told me she was starting a new job on Friday, Ingrid added. I told her I was going to see what I could do about moving to New York, so she didn't have to stay in anyone else's home. I wanted her to be with me. Ingrid said Kassandra left that night, after making plans to see her again on Saturday, September 22, for Ingrid's birthday. Ingrid told Dateline she didn't expect to hear from her daughter until then. 2 days later on September 19, Kassandra left the home she was staying at around 11:40 p.m., according to a press release by the New York Police Department. Kassandra's cousin would later tell Ingrid that Kassandra said she was going to meet up with an ex-boyfriend. She told her cousin that the ex-boyfriend was downstairs, and if it got too late, she would come back home in the morning, Ingrid said. The surveillance camera shows her coming downstairs, helping an elderly lady with groceries, and turning left, placing her at Melrose Avenue and East 161 Street. Unbeknownst to Ingrid, Kassandra never returned home. Ingrid told Dateline she was in the emergency room for a pre-existing medical concern that Friday when she tried to reach her daughter. I texted her on Friday and didn't hear back from her, which was strange because she told me to always let her know if I was in the hospital, Ingrid said. Later that day when my phone beeped, I thought it was Kassandra replying to me. But it was a call to tell me she was missing. The New York Police Department confirmed that Ingrid reported her daughter missing to the 42nd Precinct the next morning, September 22. Since then, authorities tell Dateline they have conducted multiple hospital and video canvasses and have been in contact with authorities in New Jersey, Long Island, and Westchester County. Authorities are also working on tracking Kassandra's phone and computer for any leads on where she might be, they told Dateline. The New York Police Department declined to comment on whether foul play is suspected in Kassandra's disappearance. Kassandra's family has also been on the search for their missing loved one. We have had to go and backtrack. We have tried to figure out where she was, who she had been with, who she could have seen, Ingrid said. We distributed flyers around Melrose and 161st Street, where she was last seen. We distributed flyers on the subway, and have gone into Long Island too. Ingrid told Dateline she has been unable to contact the man Kassandra was reportedly going to see the night she disappeared. Dateline was also unable to contact him for this report. The New York Police Department confirmed to Dateline they have spoken with a man Kassandra told her cousin she was going to go see, but could not comment further. As the 3-month marker of Kassandra's disappearance nears, Ingrid says she's confident her daughter did not walk away of her own free will. She did not have credit cards, a passport, or a car, Ingrid said. She did not even have a driver's license. When Kassandra didn't return home by her son Ethan's 6th birthday, the week after she disappeared, Ingrid says her fears were further confirmed. She was getting her life together for her son. She wouldn't leave New York. She told me she wouldn't go anywhere without her son, Ingrid said. Some people have told me, well, what if she is not with us anymore? Well, then she needs to be at peace. She needs to be at peace. Kassandra's son Ethan is currently staying with his paternal grandmother. Kassandra Ramirez is described as being 5'2" tall and weighing 130 pounds with dark hair. She was last seen wearing a black leather jacket, blue jeans and black sneakers. Anyone with information on Kassandra's disappearance is asked to call the NYPD's Crime Stoppers hotline at 1-800-577-TIPS, 8477, or for Spanish, 1-800-8857-PISTA, 74782.
Number 7.
Corinna Slusser 19 has been missing from New York City since September 20, 2017. Corinna is originally from Bloomsburg, Pennsylvania, but had recently moved to Nick during the summer of 2017. During the previous year, while Corinna was still a senior in high school, she was having trouble getting along with her mother. As a result, Corinna had made plans to move to Massachusetts to live with her Aunt Julia in December 2016, but those plans fell through. Instead, she moved in with some friends in a nearby Pennsylvania town during the spring of 2017. A few weeks later, when Corinna was just a month shy from graduating from high school, she contacted her mother and said she met somebody who was going to give her a place to stay for free in New York City. Corinna's mother did not want Corinna to go, but could not stop her, since she is legally an adult. The next day, the friends Corinna had been living with contacted her mother to ask her to come retrieve Corinna's items. When Corinna's mother arrived to do so, she realized that Corinna did not bring anything with her to New York, other than her ID and her cell phone. Her clothes and other personal items were left behind. Corinna's mother found this a little odd, but did not worry for too long, as Corinna continued to keep in contact with her friends and family in Pennsylvania after moving. According to Corinna's aunt, she seemed to be doing just fine. Corinna's mother began to worry once again in August 2017, when she received a copy of an order of protection addressed to Corinna in the mail. The order of protection was placed against Destini Smothers, 32. Corinna's family believes this is the man Corinna was living with in Nick. The document stated that Destini was arrested and charged with various assault and harassment charges, including assault in the 3rd degree and criminal obstruction of breathing or blood circulation. However, when Corinna's mother called Corinna to ask her about it, Corinna allegedly downplayed it and acted as if it was not a big deal. A few weeks later, Corinna's grandmother passed away. Corinna called her mother to tell her that she was unable to make it to her grandmother's funeral in Florida because her license and social security card had been stolen, and she could not board a flight. However, Corinna also told her mother that she wanted to come home and would be returning to Pennsylvania the following day. Her mother and other family members were in Florida for the funeral by the time Corinna was supposed to arrive in Pennsylvania, and were unable to get in touch with her to see if she had arrived home safely. Her mother stayed in Florida for a week and was unable to get in touch with Corinna the entire time she was gone. She reported Corinna missing upon her return. Investigators and Corinna's family members believe that Destini was Corinna's pimp. It is rumored that he lured her into moving to Nick with him for the promise of a fast, fun life, and that things escalated from there. NYPD detectives allegedly told Corinna's family that they believe Corinna is now being held in a sex trafficking ring against her will. They also believe that she has been passed through several different pimps and possibly has been taken out of the New York area. About a year after Corinna's disappearance, in 2018, a 23-year-old man named Deshwani has been arrested and charged with sex trafficking and sexually exploiting young women. It was announced on November 2, 2018 that Corinna Slusser was one of the young women exploited by Wani. News reports state that Corinna became associated with Wani and another female victim in early September 2017, after Corinna took out a restraining order against her former pimp Pahavani Piguero. The trio rented a room at Bronx Motel that is well known for prostitution. Between September 10 and September 20, Corinna and Wani exchanged over 800 text messages. On September 20, Corinna and the other female victim reportedly got into an argument because the female victim was jealous of Corinna's relationship with Wani. After that, Corinna moved to a motel in Queens, where she was last seen. Although Corinna herself has still not been found, investigators believe they are one step closer to finding answers in her case. The FBI is now asking for anyone with information to submit a tip by calling 1-800-CALL-FBI.
Number 9.
The heartbroken mother of an upstate woman found dead in the trunk of a car in Queens joined loved ones for a vigil Thursday night, while investigators searched for clues about the grisly disappearance and murder. As mourners lit votive candles and released a cluster of balloons into the air, Destini Smothers' family said her discovery Wednesday morning in the back of her Toyota in South Ozone Park did not give them as much closure as they'd get from a suspect's arrest on a murder charge. "I want to light a candle. We had a very tight bond. We come from a very close family," said Smothers' mother, Loretta King. "She was a wonderful daughter. She called me every day. It's crushing, very crushing." King dissolved into tears as Smothers' family consoled her. King came to the Redfern houses in Far Rockaway from Troy, NY, where she's been taking care of her daughter's young sons, to join about 75 friends and family, as they remembered Smothers with candles, photos and prayers. The mother of two had been missing for months, and weeks of canvassing the Jackson Heights neighborhood where Smothers, 26, was last seen had become fruitless and frustrating. "We went everywhere. We went to Maryland. We went to Pennsylvania. We were searching on the sides of the highway. We even reached out to spiritualists," said cousin Dominique Fowler Washington. "We've done all that we could. We want done right by Destini." Some at the vigil held out hope that she might still be alive after more than 4 months, but those dreams were dashed after a tow truck operator looking for a spare tire in the abandoned car popped the trunk and ended the family's search. "We're in shock," Smothers' cousin, Maurice Williams, 45, said. "We were hoping she would come back alive." Williams said his own grief was nothing compared with what Smothers' mother was going through. "She is in disbelief," Williams said. "Her heart is broken. She is distraught. Destini is her first daughter. She was her confidant and best friend. They were like twins. They even looked alike." Smothers, who lived in Troy with her boyfriend Kareem Flake, the father of her 2 sons, had traveled to Queens to attend a funeral for Flake's grandmother, relatives said. The night before the funeral, she celebrated her 26th birthday with a few friends at Bolero on 34th Avenue. She left the bowling alley at 11:20 p.m. that night, officials said. Family members said Flake told them that after they left the bowling alley they got into an argument in her car on the Grand Central Parkway. When the argument heated up, Smothers got out of the car, leaving her purse, wallet and keys behind, the family said, repeating Flake's account. Her car, the same color, make and model as the vehicle she was eventually found in, went missing along with the victim, her family said in November. Williams said officials told the family that Smothers was found wearing camouflage pants when she was found, the same type of pants she was wearing when she disappeared. Flake didn't attend Thursday's vigil, and Maz mostly cut off contact with Smothers' family, though on Wednesday, he participated in a Zoom call with his and Smothers' 2 young sons, Kareem Jr., 9 and Caden, 3, the dead woman's family said. When they asked about their mother, he said, "They are putting things in your head and hung up on them," said Smothers' cousin, Latima Fowler. Fowler, 42, went to the scene where the car was found, but police wouldn't let her look at the body. She was unidentifiable. They had to identify her through dental records, fingerprints and her tattoo, Fowler said. The tattoo, on her right wrist, was her boyfriend's name. "My cousin was an amazing, beautiful woman. She loved everybody, but she lived for her children. She was a bubbly person who could light up a room with her smile. You could trust her with your life," said Fowler Washington. "She was my sacred person. I want people to remember her life." Flake's family, meanwhile, are also processing the grim discovery. The last time we saw her she was going out to celebrate her birthday, said a relative of Flake. We expected her at the funeral, but she wasn't there. After that, I don't know anything about it. We have mixed emotions, another relative said. We don't know how to take this all in.
Number 8.
Where is Cory Dale Moore? The family of the North Carolina man who has been missing for 6 weeks are desperate to find the 32-year-old father of 3 who vanished without his shoes. Moore was last seen around 2 p.m. on September 3 at his grandmother's house on Pickard Road in Sanford. He left on foot without his shoes and hasn't been seen or heard from since, according to a release issued by the Lee County Sheriff's Office. It was reported that Moore said he was going to take a shower, but when his mother checked on him a short time later, he was gone, NBC reported. Moore's aunt, Sherry Galvin, told Dateline that Moore's shoes were still at the house. But his wallet and cell phone were missing. He didn't have a car, so Galvin said it appeared he left on foot. It just doesn't make any sense, Galvin said. He's never just walked off. And he's always stayed in contact with his kids, his sister, his mom, me, someone. Galvin told Dateline that her nephew is a devoted father of 4-year-old twin boys and a 3-year-old daughter, but had been going through a rough time over the last 2 years. In June, he moved in with his sister in Mooresville, North Carolina, and began working at a local natural gas company. He wanted so badly to be a good dad, said Galvin. She shared that her nephew helped her through a divorce by taking her hiking and even accompanying her to a company Christmas party, so she wouldn't have to go alone. That's just the kind of guy he was, she said. She told Dateline that her nephew had struggled lately and sometimes ended up in bad situations. She said their family is worried that he may have gotten into trouble with some people he had been messaging prior to his disappearance. She added that there had been no activity with his bank account or social media pages since he disappeared. He didn't deserve this. He was turning his life around and deserved a second chance. Moore had been at his sister's wedding in August, where Galvin said he appeared happy and in good spirits. He's someone's daddy. Someone's son. He is someone's brother. Someone's nephew, Galvin said. And he's still missing. We just want to know where he is. The Lee County Sheriff's Office launched a search in the surrounding area with crews, cadaver dogs and drones. But there appeared to be no trace of Moore, NBC reported. Moore is 6 feet tall, weighs approximately 210 pounds, and has brown hair and a light brown beard. He has a patch of white hair on the back of his head on the left side. His tattoos include his last name Moore on his left forearm, mallard duck heads on both biceps, and blue stars behind his ears. He was last seen wearing a white tank top, gray shorts, and was barefoot. Anyone who might have information about Moore's whereabouts is asked to call the Lee County Sheriff's Office at 919-775-5531 or the anonymous tip line at 919-718-4577.
Number 10.
The lot has changed since James Martin Roberts disappeared from Boone on April 21, 2016. Tonight, his family remains hopeful he's been around to see it. Roberts, of Kernersville, was a college student at Caldwell Community College and Technical Institute when he went missing. Investigators say a letter was found in his room, indicating he was leaving everyone behind, but made no mention of harming himself. Boone police and Roberts' family said, from the content of the letter, they knew Martin was experiencing some challenges in life and may have wanted to escape. Roberts was last seen around noon that day, near the Convocation Center at Appalachian State University. About 2 months after his disappearance, former Boone Police Chief Dana Crawford provided an update on the case, saying, "We have looked for signs of life such as financial transactions, social media use, and an extensive list of other investigative steps. We have also focused attention on the fact that he could be deceased. We have searched area lakes and many acres of wooded areas around where Martin lived, and in areas that he was known to have visited by Martin. After 2 months we still do not have any positive indicators as to his whereabouts." A year after Roberts went missing, his father, John, said some coping had gotten better for he and his wife, Abby, but called it a temporary band-aid on a serious wound. Friends and family gathered in Gastonia, near where many of Martin's family members lived at the time, to come together in fellowship, comfort, and prayer to mark the year passing since they'd heard from him. "It's tough," John Roberts said. "There are moments that it just overcomes you and you just have to push through it." A Facebook page titled Help Find Martin Roberts now has nearly 16,000 members, as family and friends continue to add updates and encouraging posts. In a post at the top of the page, John presented the facts as they know them, detailing Martin's appearance, highlights from the investigation and other details. A missing poster compiled by the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children presents an age-progressed picture of Roberts. Another poster from the Boone Police Department includes an up to $10,000 reward for information leading to Roberts' safe return. Today marks 5 years since James Martin Roberts vanished from Boone, North Carolina on April 21, 2016. Earlier today, Abby Roberts posted to the Help Find Martin Roberts Facebook page, saying today is a very sad day, as it marks 5 years since Martin disappeared. Even as I write this, I can't wrap my mind around that fact. It simply doesn't seem possible. While we still have no idea where he may be, we continue to believe that every day brings us one day closer to Martin coming home. We'd also like to thank each and every one of you for the support, kind words and especially the prayers for Martin, and for the whole family. We are humbled and forever grateful. Boone police say the investigation is still active. Anyone with information about Roberts' disappearance is asked to call the department at 828-268-6900.